Hello, beautiful friends. I'm as surprised as you are that we are doing this call. And sometimes, as it is with divine will, when divine will wants something, it happens. So I was not going to do a call today because I'm preparing for travel starting tomorrow. But then at 11 o'clock my time, I actually got so many emails saying that people were waiting on the call because, I made the mistake in the day being convinced that yesterday was a Tuesday. And so I hopped on the call with a delay and we ended up doing a call. And so I felt I don't want to do that again tonight, having people wait online. So it's better to get together and to have clarity. And so we have clarity. And so I actually got really excited. I always get so excited when we get to do these calls. And so, as you know, this is very moving. This is so beautifully moving to be here with you in service to something so great, in service to Divine Mother. What I think was the divine will was then when we hopped on the call and we had, 120 people. One of the people on the call shared in the chat that Yogananda and his family worshipped Chamunda. Now, I never noticed that when I read the autobiography of a yogi. And so, again, the puzzle pieces are just incredible coming together. And of course, the great Yogananda, the father for us, even if you don't care about Yogananda, he cares about you. The father, Yogananda, gave us again the breadcrumbs, and we are following, following, following. So going to 29 palms in the desert, meditating, getting the answer of Chamunda, and of course today the confirmation that his family actually honored the aspect of Divine Mother known as Chamunda and sometimes as Chamundi. And so we will be here with her today to empower her mission, and I'm going to explain a little bit about what's going on. So, isn't that amazing, Isabel? Thank you. It's a very not really well known aspect of Divine Mother. But what we have learned through the work with Divine Mother is that she likes to shapeshift. And so I was going to dedicate this call not to the false matrix. I posted about the false matrix on YouTube today. I recorded the previous call. So it has a lot of information about the beast of Babylon, which I think is important to know because the beast of Babylon is still here in this world. And why goddess Chamunda is now in charge of the next ascension step. So definitely, if you have the time, take a look at it. But today I dedicate this call to the great love of this mother as we have known her. And I first met Divine Mother, truly, I'm going to say, face to face, in person, in 2017. And of course, as you would imagine, when you meet Divine Mother, it is life-changing. And so when you look back then at a divine encounter like that, you obviously then your life completely shifted into a whole new trajectory. So when Divine Mother first appeared, and I've shared the story many times, but I'd like to bring the energy. For me, when I share these stories, they are not words. I am connecting with the energy so that it's transmitted here into this collective and then through us into this world, into the ethers to create these big shifts for humanity and this ascending planet. So I'm going to go back into the energy and move with that energy. It is the river of love, after all. So I do truly believe, looking back, and this embodiment of you and me on this planet, that we came here 100% sent by Divine Mother. Absolutely sent by her. I started to have multidimensional experiences as a child, and then they just, pulled me in a certain direction of mysticism, in a certain direction of meditations, and what we would today call maybe yoga, but not the movement of yoga, much more the movement of energy inside the being. And so I truly believe, looking back, that she was the one who sent us here. Because after I met her, I started to have these spontaneous experiences with her. I just never knew when she comes, how she appears, but very often she would even pull me out of my physical body and take me with her to another dimension. And again, I think it's happening anyway to all of us. So I always want to know, I want everyone to know when I share these stories, I never want them to sound about me, but they are my tools. So they are my tools for the soul. So she would then pull me often out of body and give me a full-blown experience of herself, not here exactly on this planet, but in the ethers, in these higher realms. And she would start showing me many different things about how we came into this world and how we are here to be her children, to be the children of love, to be the children of oneness, to be brave, and to sometimes even in the past have to go in a battle on her behalf and make sure that we stay focused on our job. And so I started to experience these multidimensional states of consciousness where she would, for example, be training not just me, but many of us again. And that's what gives me the idea that all of us experienced it. And she was training us for this embodiment, for this lifetime. And she was always training certain aspects of our being. And as I always jokingly say, she would test us, but always told us there is no test. And that is her very interesting nature that is filled with dichotomies. And so, in her beautiful, playful way, she would test our ability to stay focused on the job, not to mix with the serpents of darkness and the serpents of chaos, and to remain focused on the light. And it's a little bit like throwing someone into what they used to do, the lion's den. Or even in Egypt, they were doing tests like that you might remember from your past life, where you would have to submerge yourself into the waters with snakes, things like that. So when you go through a test that feels very dangerous, it requires incredible focus on staying centered in the light of your own being, in the light of your soul, but also in the light of your divine self. So she would always test our ability to stay brave. And the number one thing from what I have gone through was the test of fearlessness, to be fearless. And that's the children of Divine Mother in this world, to be fearless. And as a human being, probably you would agree it's not always easy to be fearless, because we are surrounded and have been surrounded by many different serpents of darkness and energies, of course, in this world. And they wanted us to be scared. They wanted us to give them the energy of our own fear. But we could only find true strength through our love for the divine. And some people found it even in religions, which is also absolutely wonderful outcome. But beyond all religions is the divine reality that does not require religion. It also doesn't require worship as such, but it invites us to feel the love. And you could call it devotion, because that says, I belong to you. I belong to you, Mother. So since 2017, I had hundreds of experiences with Divine Mother. And one thing, among others, that I learned about her is that she is a true shapeshifter. And just when you think you've seen it all, she will shapeshift into the next form that will surprise you. So I've seen her in so many forms, and I think Divine Mother must be having so much fun shape-shifting in so many forms. And it was also our beloved avatar Yogananda who got to meet Divine Mother and he was longing to meet Divine Mother. And he, of course, got to meet her in many of her forms. The way that it works is that she truly will appear in front of you out of nowhere, and she will seem as real as a person, but it could be in your home, so there is no way another person entered. And usually she will be in her ethereal body. So you will see her, she will be able to talk to you, but she will vanish instantaneously when she's done. And many mystics throughout our history, of course, had the same experience with her. A while ago, I was showing an image here that was created by a yogi, mystic, a singer, and artist, Ananda. And she actually had Divine Mother appear to her every single day, and she was painting her, and it was the form of Lakshmi. And so she told me the story herself. I think she was Maharishi's student, but I'm not sure quite exactly. But she was in India, and she originally comes from Germany. And as she was meditating in the temple every day, Lakshmi would come to her and said, I want you to paint me. And every day I will come to you and paint me exactly as I am. And so she painted her every single day until the painting was done and the painting was perfect. So that's the way that she would appear. Um, I've never seen her any other way. And she would either be like this in this very physical but also ethereal body. She would appear, disappear. Very often it would happen in our home, but it also happened, when you travel and you stay maybe in an Airbnb. I had an encounter with her in an Airbnb too. So really not limited to any place, not limited to temple, not limited to India, truly anywhere. And so the different forms that I have seen her in and met her in, it's just incredible. She really can be anything and always a female. And she has been throughout all the different traditions. So I've seen her in every tradition, and it's always our Divine Mother. An African woman, an Egyptian goddess, a Hindu goddess, the Green Tara of the Tibet. So, really, not limited by any tradition. Absolutely none. So it's also good to know the real Divine Mother does not belong to any religion. She is our Divine Mother. And now she's coming into this world, and she has been coming. Many people have encountered her, specifically actually since 2017, when a portal opened in August in 2017, and that portal allowed her to come even more than ever before and to be witnessed by people all around the world. So since then, she's been coming again in many, many different forms. And so many people, when they speak about ascension, they also call it the return of divine feminine. And so for me, the sharings that I've been doing here since 2020, I think, thanks to COVID, I suddenly didn't have to go to the office, didn't have to drive, commute to work. So I had more time at home. And so I thought, how can I serve you with more time? And she was the one who instructed everything, every move ever since then. So ever since, the first encounter with Divine Mother, she always has been delivering knowledge. It was knowledge about the human ascension, about planetary ascension, knowledge about the human body, mainly about the human body, not so much about our mind and our emotions, but it was about liberation of the human body from the false matrix. And so here we are in 2025, so called, and we are still guided by her and shifted into a new ascension phase. So she's here as goddess Chamunda. So I know many of you are now working with the chant of Chamunda, and just imagine we've experienced some magic here together. The first incredible, powerful magic that I think that we co-created through sound was when we played Maravati together at the same time, where all of us went outside or we opened our windows And it was in January 29th this year. On January 29th this year, as this quantum collective around this planet played Maravati, the song of the new earth, the veil was pierced and the earth was shifted into a completely new, again, we call it coordinates. And she was resting, she was healing, she had all these beings around her healing her. That was the first magical sound that we experienced. We did the same thing on April 20th, which was the Earth Day. And on the Earth Day, we again played Maravati, and again, unbelievable shifts happen in this universe. And so it has been quantum leap by quantum leap. And again, it always depends on, how humanity participates. Do they want to be dragged, or do they want to be participating like angels who do the good work? And so we have been doing some really great work. Another powerful experience that we have co-created just recently happened during our online retreat that we dedicated to working with Divine Will. Now, Divine Will was really assigned to us, and we have worked with Divine Will before, but this time it created the tipping point. And the tipping point is when we have the amazing opportunity to really tilt into a new world, and that's exactly what happened. If you were on the call, then you know it happened during our call, and it happened just before we finished. We finished on May 5th, and it happened between May 3rd and May 4th. Unbelievable miracles occurred in terms of divine will. Our entire galaxy shifted into a new place, and I don't want to call it place because we are actually beyond time and space in these realms. But let's call it shifted into a new realm of light. And so we are, and we have been since then, in a new realm of light. Our galaxy now is experiencing the bliss wave of divine light that our galaxy has not experienced like this before. In the past, we were considered to be slightly imperfect galaxy, especially because the way that the center of the galaxy worked is we didn't always have equal amount of light. So when beings are not exposed to divine light at all times, they end up going into Kali Yuga, the Dark Age. The Dark Age has everything to do with the light of Source, with the light of the galaxy. And so with this new design that we have, we are a galaxy of light. As a galaxy of light, which we now have been really in human terms for about 10 days. I check in with my divine self every day, and hopefully you do too. And your divine self is like a tower, and from the top floor of your tower, you can see these realms. You can see the realm of the universe, you can see the realm of the galaxy. And so every day you can get your galactic and universal news from your own divine self. So this actually has been going on for a little bit longer than the 10 days, because there was also preparation. We will not have Kali Yuga again. This was the end of Kali Yuga forever. And the reason for that is that, our galaxy is moving through the universe, and the universe is moving through cosmos. So we are now in a place that no longer will create conditions for the dark age within our galaxy. We are now receiving new light that we have never received before. Our galaxy, if you imagine it like a spaceship, so let's say it would be like this disk spaceship, it actually is a tree of life. The galaxy, I'm going to say herself, she is a tree of life. Even our galaxy creates a toroidal field, and so she belongs into the body of the mother. And there are great beings in charge of our galaxy, the commanders in chief, and some of the beings who come from the center of this galaxy are great beings of light, and we might know them, for example, as Hathor. Hathor is a being of great feminine power and not at all associated only with Egypt, even though she was known in Egypt. But Hathor is a real being, and she is, in terms of our galaxy, like a grandmother of our Divine Mother. So there is a great mystery of our galaxy and the galactic core, the central sun of our own galaxy. And now our galaxy is experiencing new light like never before. Once upon a time, our galaxy had something within herself that we called the hungry ghost. And the hungry ghost was in the Orion arm of the galaxy. Now, this hungry ghost was like a cloud of energy that would be moving through the arm of Orion. And as it was moving through the arm of Orion, it would actually turn every world into a lifeless world. It was swallowing worlds and taking life force from them. And because of this big galactic shift that just took place, which actually is much more than galactic, because when a galaxy shifts, it also creates a change in the universe. We also now have a new alignment in our universe. Since this shift happened, there is music sounding in our galaxy that we have not heard before. And I've been listening to this music and telling my husband about it ever since, which was like May 4th when it started to sound. And it's all of us together with all the other galactic beings actually creating these new songs. And this music is all of us singing songs of joy. When I look at it, through the divine self lens, I compare it to maybe the time of when the war ended in Europe, like World War II, and people came together to rebuild. And they rolled up their galactic sleeves and they said, okay, after this distraction, let's create something beautiful. Let's come together as one. Let's restore the world. So something very similar is happening in this galaxy now. All of the beings that we are and many more are now working together to restore and rebuild and really create new experience of galactic oneness. Now, in the past, people talked a lot about different, beings from the Galactic Federation of the Light, but this is much bigger than that. This is truly much more than what we could call disclosure. This is about our true nature. It is very important to who we are. Every mystic in this world who ended up on the mystical path of expansion had one goal, and that was the one and only goal, and that was to regain cosmic consciousness. And that might sound so not interesting. Why have cosmic consciousness? I'm having my little life here on planet Earth. I care about what happens in my little daily life. But that was all a lie of the illusion of the false matrix. Our true nature is absolutely cosmic. And within cosmos, we play many different roles. And this is the time of remembering. And it's nothing, like just just fanciful. It's really important. So it is important to know who we are. And it was a lie that we were just little humans defined by birth and death. It was a lie that this was our life. Our true life is very different from our life here. And that life is now coming back. This musical light that is moving through the galaxy is truly golden bliss. And we are all receiving this golden bliss now, whether we know it or not. It is through the channels that exist within our energy body that we are receiving this light all the way to our physicality. And this is also causing changes in our planetary body. When I first started to see it around May 3rd and 4th, it was clear that our physical planet will experience a bit of shaking, bit of readjustment. The tectonic planes will surely react to this light because this light is the most powerful light. So I think we've seen a lot of earthquakes ever since then, even in places that normally don't have earthquakes, and they've been quite strong. And so it is all good to know. It is the earth adjusting to the light, and she is going to be a planet of light. She is going to be once again in her solar reality. And she actually now is in her solar reality. Now, this is all really fantastic. So, again, now what you see here in gray and white is all actually permeated with golden light, with solar light that we have not experienced before. As things move, light moves, it might be with a slight delay before it fully arrives in our consciousness, before it fully arrives in our bodies, before it fully arrives in the earth. But that is what's happening here now. And so, what we used to have in the galaxy, whatever we called it evil, it was evil. It was a force of evil that originated in cosmic creation as a little glitch in the system. And that glitch has been corrected. And so now will be the final cleanse. And this cleanse is the healing of all that we call demons. It's many different layers of many different beings. Everything that came from oneness will be reintegrated into oneness. Chamunda is the one in charge of this. And so I don't think we can even imagine her process. I don't know exactly. All that she was speaking to me about is that it will feel like healing of a disease. So if someone experienced disease in their life, and maybe a very long one, because evil has been a very long disease, then this is the healing of that disease. So it will feel like it just vanishes and health is restored. And that health is our true nature. And I don't mean physical health, even though that will be another part of it. And she definitely is a fierce mother. So we have the mantra to invoke beloved Chamunda and empower her, let her know that we care because she's so relational. Divine Mother is so relational. And Wendy has a question about something that I spoke about, and I will address it. And that is what will happen to the beings of no spark. So I can explain it a little bit without going into the detail, but once upon a time, all came from one supreme source. And because we are in a musical cosmos, we are in a musical universe, we are in a musical galaxy, sound creates. And so when the sound creates, and when the sound is in harmony, it was all meant to be just harmonious. It was meant to be one beautiful cosmic orchestra with many instruments, and each instrument could be something as big as a universe, something as smaller as a galaxy, a planet. So the music of the spheres. But you and me are also a sphere, our light body sphere. So we are two musical instruments. So the idea within this cosmic cycle was music. Let's make one big orchestra. Often when I travel out of body, and I just recently, like last week, through these big changes, had so many out of body experiences that it was unstoppable, which is actually very unusual. So sometimes when we go through these big energy shifts, our light body just takes on its own life and does its own thing. So very often when you go out of body, you actually will hear music. Mostly it's classical music, and I think many different composers got music as inspiration from being connected to these dimensions of music. But You also will hear even opera. You will hear angels singing. So you will hear all this beautiful music, and it's always harmonious. So creation is a symphony within which we all play music. Sound creates, and it is sound that is a vibration, but also a frequency that gives shape to light. It sends light into certain shapes and creates geometries that are actually the blueprint for creation. Now, since we are in a musical cosmos, then we had that little glitch, which created a bit of trouble, but nothing too huge in terms of cosmic creation. But our world ended up being affected by it. So some beings were created through that imperfect, dissonant frequency. It was out of harmony. And so it was creating, because all frequencies within cosmos are creative, and so let's say that 99% of them were beautiful and harmonious, and maybe 1%, maybe a little more, was out of harmony. And so all the beings who came from that frequency were dissonant. They were not harmonious, and they were creating disharmony. Those were the beings that we would call demons. So true origin of what we today call evil came actually originally from one source. Now, this has been corrected on a cosmic scale last year, and the final correction took place on 11/11. So, since then, all we were left with was the beings without having any more coming in and no more source for them. But because they came from the oneness of all source, they too will return to the oneness of source, whether they want it or not. What came from the light, no matter how lost it became, will and has returned to the light. But of course, we also live in a cosmos where we become the creators of some form. So we can look at technology, we can look at AI, and these days, AI, we all probably have interacted with some form of artificial intelligence, and we've seen robots, and there is no reason why the beings of disharmony wouldn't have created something that we would call a very, very real being that we could call AI robot without divine spark. So, if that's the question, and these beings, like, imagine, many people have thought about this before, and I'm sure it has been done, that armies in the war would be created as really robots who could kill. But that's not the divine spark origin. But surely that has already happened. And so then you are stuck with these beings who are not of the light, don't have divine spark, were artificially created to actually be tools for evil. So those are not real beings. And so those will be, of course, just dissolved, but they are not like returning into the light, if that makes sense. So, but everyone else, and that includes actually demons, because demons, there are many different types of beings, but demons themselves came originally from the one source. And that's everyone is returning into the light if they came from one source. It's a little bit like recycling old computers here. So if it is no spark, that's going to be recycled like an old computer. And so Chamunda is here in this world now, and she will be the one healing this world from these energies that we gave the label evil. And it will happen not through a war anymore. In the past, there was always a battle. This battle has been described by all our ancient civilizations, and you could call it really Star Wars. But no longer will that be a war. The battle has been won, and it is clear victory to the light. That already took place as well. Nothing can reverse it. Nothing can stop what's coming. Nothing can stop the forces of light. Now it no longer will be the separation we had until now, recently, between the forces of good and forces of evil. So this is big awakening. This is a huge awakening, and everyone of the light, including the ones who really forgot, will wake up. All will wake up from this nightmare or a dream, and everyone of the light, everyone from Source Creator, wakes up. All war on planet Earth was actually instigated and not started by us humans, but instigated by these forces that benefited from war. And I don't mean human forces, always behind the scene forces. So now, when we all wake up, we will feel the oneness. We will know the oneness. We will remember, all of us, who we are. This is a big awakening. Patricia Cota Robles calls it unique awakening. It is a very unique awakening in many ways. And so this is the big awakening. And again, right now we are in the process of it. So it's good to know where to pay attention, what to pay attention to, and not to be distracted. It's easy to be distracted. I get distracted too. When I watch what's happening in the world, right? You still see these forces playing a game, but they don't have the source. Now it's just the source is Divine Mother, Divine Father, and every day invoking them, every day asking them, come and intervene, come. It's also good to know, now and again, like you see a video of some religious people praying, and the way they pray, it's a little bit like black magic. So they pray for just certain outcomes that only include some, don't include others. And that is not exactly how the underlying oneness of all life works. It is much better to go general. And to me, going general means invoking Divine Mother, invoking Divine Father, and asking for the cleansing of humanity, cleansing of Mother Earth, and successful ascension for all life. That's it. Nothing too specific. For all. And so let us now chant this beautiful mantra that invokes and empowers Goddess Chamunda as a powerful aspect of our Divine Mother. As you know, just chanting Om alone, if you get used to it, I chant Om to everything that I'm working on. Before I start, let's say I'm working on the vlog for Patricia, I sit down in front of the computer and first I chant Om several times. Whatever you want to work on in this world, chant some Om to it, clear the energies around you. If you feel resistance from something, someone within yourself, sit down, chant some Om. Om was explained to us by Divine Mother herself. And that was the day when she came as this incredible, I would say, powerful African woman. And she showed the quantum field. And she said, every Om repairs the quantum field around you. Every Om repairs the quantum field of this reality. Imagine, this is my fantasy, if thousands of us can chant Om all together. So, chanting Om to food, chanting Om to your drink, chanting Om to your bed. I didn't know this, but, Gurga, who participates in our morning calls, he sent me a story about Yogananda, who was being attacked by these demons all the time, of course. And they would attack him. And so he would then create a circle of Om around his bed. And before going to bed, he would touch his bed and chant Om to the bed. So that was one way to stay, in clean quantum field that others could not penetrate. So that was the power of Om. So then when we chant Aim, Hreem, Kleem, this all invokes different aspects of Divine Mother. It opens our heart. it attunes us to her magnetism. And then specifically, we call in Chamunda, Chamundaya, Chamunda. And then, I don't ever want to be translating mantras because these cosmic sounds, we don't want to have to put a label on them in our human language and say that's exactly what it means, because they are powerful on their own without us having to assign meaning to them. But if you look at translation, if we were to assign meaning to it, then Viche is the shield and protection of Chamunda. So, yes, celebrating oneness, remembering oneness, helping all our brothers and sisters to wake up, not exactly by going to them and sending love to them and sending light to them, but the general approach, Because how do we know where it needs to land? I do believe it's important to work in a general field, and that means for everyone all at once, and where it lands, that's where it needs to go. So a little bit like watering all your plants in your garden all at once, and the one that needs the water the most will take it. So let us chant Om Aim Hrim Klim Chamudaya Viche. As you know, the spelling too. So it's a cosmic sound. So how do we spell it? Sometimes it is spelled with an I in Hrim and in Klim, sometimes with double E, so that we know the sound is E. But again, we know how this goes. So I got all these chants. I use music. So I'm sure you can find it on Spotify, on YouTube. So I got these all from music. So I'm going to start with the first one and we can chant together, knowing that we are inviting Chamunda and empowering her mission.
Om Aim Hrim Klim Chamundaya Viche. 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 Om Aim Hrim Klim Chamundaya Viche.
Beautiful. And so I know it makes such a huge difference when we get together and when we chant together. We've seen miracles upon miracles, and just the fact that we worked with Divine Will. I had so many people write to me who are clairvoyant, who have mystical experiences, and who said, since we work with Divine Will, the breakthrough in these experiences, in the light codes, in the energies just have been unbelievable. So I'm going to share a little bit more about Divine Mother from experience. One thing that Divine Mother also always looks for is selflessness. You could say egolessness. Maybe you've heard the term the beast of Babylon. The beast of Babylon Sometimes it's also described as the whore of Babylon, but that would mean it was, in our language, people could say, "Oh, that's a woman," but no, not to be mistaken. Whore of Babylon was used to describe that the beast would sell our souls to have power, to have money, to have dominion, to have everything, to own this world, to own our souls, to own our bodies. So to sell itself, to the great beast that we called Satan. So, why I'm saying that, and I talked about it on the call I just posted on YouTube in a little bit more depth, but this is very important. How did selfishness enter this world when we were created to be a world of selflessness? There was no self to start with. The only self that we had was the divine self that doesn't know any selfishness. Selfishness, which is the false self, didn't originate in the human nature. Our original nature is divine, divine human nature. Our original nature was so divine, so selfless, so innocent, so loving, and this is my memories from Mu, that we were willing to always be of service to the divine, be of service to something greater. And we never thought about ourselves because we didn't have a self. The divine self is one with all, so it doesn't need anything for itself. It doesn't even need self love. The whole concept of self love, which seemed like a great idea, came actually from the false matrix. How did the false self come into existence? It came into existence through the beast of Babylon, and we can call it the beast. The beast is not Satan, but it is the lineage of the great Satan that no longer exists and that has been integrated. Because the translation of Satan, it sounds like a big word, but it originates in linguistically, it means the adversary. So the one who goes against. Against what? Against the oneness of all life. The adversary, much better word for it instead of using the big words that we might not find so comfortable, is the one who didn't want to be one with all life. That's simple. And why didn't that being want to be one with all life? It's because the frequency that gave origin to that being was off. It was not in harmony with the rest of life. It felt separate, but nothing can be separate in creation from creation itself. That frequency and that being has been reabsorbed into the oneness of all life. And in our human terms, in this cosmic creation, that's what happened last year. But the beast of Babylon, you could say, is a child of the adversary and has the same qualities, but not the same power. It is not the source. But what it is a source of is the source of what we call ego, and not just human ego, ego itself, ego in any beings that got contaminated by the energy of the beast. And some people can have little ego. In terms of percentage, let's take a look at it. Little ego, 1%. A lot of ego, 99%. But the beast itself is only what we call ego, 100% ego. There is no room for anything else. So the beast really is the embodiment of all the ego with all that it can do is capable of. And you know it from Patricia, the way she describes what the ego is capable of. But then all the beings, not only in this world, but in any world where these beings created the false matrix, all the beings within usually got inflicted with this fractal, the fractal of that ego. The thing is, though, as you know, this ascension process is about losing that self, losing that fractal of the ego, losing and dissolving the beast within, whether it was a tiny little monster or a huge monster. Ascension is all about returning to the true divine self, to the I am. The I am is indestructible, can never be destroyed, not even by the beast. But the beast will end its reign. This is really important. You know, I had meetings in higher realms, and many of you, of course, participate in these meetings. I just know for sure that many people participate and don't always remember. So I participated in meetings with our Divine Father, and we were reviewing human history, and we were looking at the origin of scarcity. And so we had to go back to Babylon. And with Divine Father, we examined the origin of scarcity. And the origin of scarcity was the beast in Babylon. So we now might hear a lot of things about Babylon because the energy of Babylon is the energy we have lived in. It was really the energy of the false matrix. The monetary system, scarcity, hunger, wars, abuse, racism, sexism, nationalism, fascism, dictatorship, all originated in the beast of Babylon. When we see these energies in this world, we know where they came. This is the end of these energies, and Chamunda is here. She is here on her divine lion. The energy of Christ, the energy of Krishna is returning to this world, and victory is already our destiny. It already happened, and now it's just going to manifest in our conditions here in this world. I met the beast of Babylon, and I even have a picture of the beast of Babylon in my phone, so next time I'm going to put it so I can show you what the beast looks like. Every mystic that did a little bit of work on liberation ended up meeting these beings. Today I came across a video which was posted yesterday, which I always recommend, and that is Saint John Julian Baba Wamayama. He obviously met all these beings himself, and as you know, he did it through fasting. I didn't do it through fasting. I did it through Kriya Yoga of Yogananda. And that's exactly, it doesn't matter how you get there. But once you experience the liberation of your being and you get to know your divine self, the beasts would always come and try to actually return you back into the system. They didn't want anyone to be outside of the system. You know this from the movie The Matrix. Same thing. John St. Julian, he fasted for 40 days just like Uncle Jesus. And of course, he starved the beast within his own being. He starved the beast. Now, this is all such a huge story, but it's very interesting. It doesn't matter how you get there, but when you get there, you will get to meet these beings that always were hidden. They never wanted anyone to know about their existence. They wanted people to be naive so that there is no revolt. But John actually says in his video from yesterday that when enough of us have seen them, together we will revolt against these beings who are still in this world now. But actually, I don't know when he last saw them. I just want to say they lost their power. Yes, Isabel, that's the video. That's the one about chemtrails. That's exactly what it is. So again, maybe if he saw them last time, 6 months ago, I just want to say what is happening now might be different from what happened 6 months ago. What is happening now is that Divine Mother Chamunda is here. She will be cleansing this world. How she will do it, I don't know, but we are empowering her mission. So, a few more minutes if you don't mind. Maximum 10 minutes at the most. Why was it so important to Divine Mother to bring her children who are capable of selflessness? The reason for that is she wanted to have us here so that we do not get contaminated by the beast. Calling it an ego is a very nice word that doesn't describe the true nature of what it is. Again, in the false matrix, we put labels on things that might no longer serve us because they mask the true nature of what is what. So I would not call it ego because that immediately tells our mind, oh yeah, what is ego? Oh yeah, ego, psychologists, this is how they describe it. It's part of the personality. It's how the personality is either centered in big ego or small ego. No, let's call it how it is. It actually was a fractal of the beast that wanted to seamlessly integrate with the children of light, to be hidden within them, and then slowly in puberty start taking more and more and more control over behaviors, over thoughts, over consciousness. And it always happened through the nervous system. Illusion wanted to integrate into us seamlessly without being noticed. I actually think it was Dolores Cannon who hypnotized people, and she was hypnotizing someone who was describing exactly how the fractal of the beast started to integrate into the nervous system when they were a child. But people didn't really know it. So when they were describing it, people didn't understand what this person was describing. But, Divine Mother, she showed this in detail. This is how it happened. So now is the time for the children of the Mother to make no more room within them, in their consciousness, in their psychology, in their behaviors, in their thoughts, for this fractal. It is time for, I would even call it exorcism in a way, but not in the scary way, but saying, no more do you have any real estate within me. No more. Step aside. Just like Uncle Jesus said, get behind me, Satan. The same kind of approach. And I think some of the invocation from Patricia Cota Robles, she too speaks to the ego from the position of the I am and saying, step aside, ego. And that's again just a very nice nickname for what it really is. So the time has come for true selflessness, knowing that that self was not real. And the only self that deserves real estate in our own psychology and consciousness, of course, is the light of the divine self. So I like to use the sentence from Uncle Jesus, get behind me, Satan, and whatever you want to call it. That means no, no, no. No door, no portal, no window is open here in this being. And so again, invoking the violet flame, cleansing, cleansing, cleansing. Divine Self is so powerful. Divine Self does not know fear. Who uses fear? Of course, the beast. Let's make everything so scary so that everybody feels so small. Even feeling very small is ego. Even feeling very small and having no self-respect is the beast within the person. Small ego, big ego. True divine confidence is just 100% knowing who you are. And we are the I am presence. We are the divine self. We are a divine human being. We are the light of God. And that is powerful. So, Divine Mother, when she chose you to be here in this world, she counted on us to be selfless. I remember when she was preparing us for this incarnation here, and this again is the last incarnation. No more will the children of light be incarnating into the flesh. They will be embodying into a light body. So I remember she was testing things like vanity. She was testing things like, will you feel better then? Will you feel lesser then? Will you like compliments? Will you want to be this or that so that others give you praise? She was testing complete nothingness. The Tao Te Ching. No attachment, nothingness, no self-satisfaction from anything. It is all done through us. And we make ourselves so empty with no attachment, but just constantly selfless. And selfless means really selfless. That means no beast of Babylon within us. The beast of Babylon introduced the monetary system and made it very scarce. And it happened actually during Babylon. So the monetary system that we know now, which is very scarce for some and abundant for others, will also have to go down with the beast. So it's good to know these things, I think, as we move through this beautiful chapter, making ourselves fearlessly, truly fearlessly, and selflessly available to Divine Mother in her form of Chamunda. And so I'm just going to close here quickly with another chant of Chamunda. And this one is very fast because they chanted 1008 times, but I just thought for the fun of it, it is very fast, just to give us an idea how fast one can chant. And then we will close with that.
Om Am Hrim Klim Chamundai Viche. 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 Om Am Hrim Klim Chamundai Viche.
All right. That was great, wasn't it? That's how fast we can chant. And when we chant fast, we have no room for thoughts. So that's great. So many blessings as always. And I'm so grateful that you are here in this world with your beautiful hearts, with your selfless self. And we will meet again, and it will be next week. So I'm going to put it on the website. So thank you so much and many blessings.